The Galactic Council's declaration came without warning. Earth was officially classified as a Class 9 death world, the second highest danger rating in the known universe. Broadcast across all channels, translated into every human language, the message was clear. Earth was too dangerous for interstellar integration. Captain Jack Reynolds of the International Space Coalition stared at the alien ambassador on the screen, his weathered face betraying nothing as the blue-skinned diplomat explained the Council's reasoning. Your gravity is crushing. Your atmosphere is corrosive. Your biosphere teems with lethal pathogens. Your weather systems are catastrophic. Your tectonic plates are unstable. Ambassador Nix listed, each point delivered with clinical detachment, and your species, evolved in this crucible of death, is perhaps most concerning of all. When the transmission ended, Reynolds simply shrugged and turned to his colleagues. Well, that's that then. The human response across Earth was remarkably similar, collective shoulders raised and lowered in a planetary shrug of indifference. In Moscow, Dr. Anna Petrova continued her research on extremophile bacteria thriving in acid lakes. At Lagos, engineer Tom Okafor tested reinforced concrete designed to withstand Category 6 hurricanes. In Tokyo, Professor Kai Tanaka published his paper on rapid response earthquake prediction. Life carried on. 3 standard galactic months later, Ambassador Nix was summoned to an emergency council session. Explain this, demanded High Counselor Vex, projecting an image of a human settlement on Proxima Centauri, a planet that, while habitable, experienced radiation storms that required all Council species to shelter in specialized bunkers. The footage showed humans walking outdoors during a storm, protected only by what appeared to be lightweight clothing. They call it radiation gear, Nix said, mandibles clicking nervously. Apparently, they've been dealing with radiation dangers since their pre-space era. More reports flooded in, humans establishing outposts on worlds considered marginally habitable at best, mining operations in crushing gravity environments, research stations in caustic atmospheres, agricultural experiments in what other species considered barren wastelands. The Council observation team assigned to Earth sent increasingly alarmed reports. Humans deliberately exposed themselves to deadly conditions as recreation. They called it extreme sports. They willingly consumed substances that would kill most other sentient species and called it spicy food. They deliberately infected themselves with weakened pathogens to build immunity. They aren't ignoring our warning, reported the chief observer. They simply don't comprehend danger the way we do. 6 standard galactic months after the declaration, a small human delegation arrived unannounced at Galactic Council headquarters. Captain Reynolds led the group, accompanied by scientists and diplomats. We appreciate your concern, Reynolds addressed the Council, his tone respectful but firm. But we've reviewed your classification criteria, and we'd like to propose a different framework. Dr. Lisa Morgan stepped forward. You classify worlds based on threats to life. We propose classifying them based on opportunities for adaptation. The Council chambers erupted in murmurs. What you see as deadly, we see as challenging, Morgan continued. Earth didn't make us resilient despite its dangers. It made us resilient because of them. Reynolds nodded. We don't want special treatment. We're not asking you to change your classification system. We're simply informing you that we'll be continuing our expansion, and we're open to assisting any species interested in technologies or methods we've developed. As the delegation departed, High Counselor Vex turned to Ambassador Nix. They're either the most foolhardy or the most remarkable species we've encountered. Perhaps both, Nix replied. Over the following years, a curious phenomenon emerged. While the Council maintained Earth's deadly classification, individual aliens began seeking human expertise. Atmospheric scientists consulted with humans about surviving corrosive environments. Military strategists studied human adaptability. Medical researchers examined human immune responses. The first non-human visitor to Earth was Dr. Lox, a xenobiologist from a low-gravity world. Protected by an exoskeleton suit designed with human assistance, she spent 1 Earth month in Australia. Upon her return, she presented her findings to a stunned Council. They have a saying, she reported. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger. I believe this philosophy explains much about them. The Council debated revising Earth's classification. Some argue for elevation to Class 10, the highest danger level reserved for worlds that harbored threats to galactic stability. Others suggested a new classification entirely. In the end, they compromised. Earth remained a Class 9 death world, but with a unique annotation: home to a species that thrives on adversity. Approach with caution and perhaps a touch of humility. When informed of the decision, Captain Reynolds, now Admiral, simply smiled. Fair enough, he said, before returning to oversee humanity's newest project, terraforming a world that other species had dismissed as impossibly hostile. As news spread across human colonies, the response was predictable. A billion shoulders raised and fell in that uniquely human gesture of acceptance. The universe had thrown down a gauntlet. Humans had picked it up, nodded respectfully at its weight, and then carried on, not because they were oblivious to the danger, but because danger had been their teacher since they first stood upright in a world that had never made survival easy. The Galactic Council had labeled Earth too deadly. Humans just shrugged, and then showed the universe what that shrug really meant.